Oh man, are we excited to have you with us today. Thanks for tuning in and turning on. We look forward to this opportunity. It's going to be something special. Here of late, I've had the opportunity to interview the likes of Clean Slate, Mallory B, Kalichi, Joe Nestor, Redeemed. And today we've got another one to add to that list of those Christian hip hop artists, and he's going to share his story. It's a story that I'm not well aware of, but it's going to be a little different angle. Yet it maintains that flavor of all things recovery. Hang on, we'll be back with you.
Jesus didn't have a problem with people that's in the streets. He had a problem with religious people.
How can I help anybody when when I was not even able to help my own son?
I would never do that. I would never do that. And I became that in a matter of minutes when they took my pain pills away.
And I said, I'm not where I want to be, but thank God I'm not what I used to be.
This is Faith in Your Recovery. I am Randy Davis. Welcome to the battle. Hey, our guest today, he doesn't come from the same type of addiction background that we normally deal with. He comes from a little different side of that, so obviously he was addicted to that part of his life when he was involved as a dealer. You may know him as Be Radical or Bryant Kelly. Welcome aboard, Be Radical.
What's going on? What's going on, Papa G?
Well, listen, that's interesting that you gave me that title. I don't know if you've listened to one of our previous ones, but I just happen to have my hat with me. Hold on.
Hey, Papa G, I love it.
Man, you just gave me the open door for that. A little technical difficulty. Now we're ready. For
Yes,
those
sir.
who don't know, that term Papa G comes from the nickname that my grandkids have adopted for me. My wife gave me the name Goober from Mayberry RFD, working at the station. I had that layered look before the layered look was in, all right? All I cared about was keeping warm and making my $1.65 an hour back then.
I know
Pumping
this
gas wouldn't even get me a gallon of gas today.
one.
But Be Radical. We want to come into touch with you, come into touch with your story, and I know you've got some things to share with us. But let's explain to the people where'd that title come from, that stage name. Your given name on your birth certificate, I get, is Bryant
Yes, sir.
Kelly.
hmm
I'm going to guess that Be Radical wasn't anywhere on that birth certificate, but you've been reborn from a previous life. Tell us about that name and how you came across it.
Yes, sir. I originally started in a gospel hip hop group called True Soldiers, and the church I was attended one day. The pastor he came up to me and we was having a hard time finding myself a name, and he was like, "You'll be radical." I liked the name, and at the time, I didn't know exactly what the name meant. And I ended up looking up radical, and I'm so glad that I inherited that name because radical was something that Jesus was himself, a radical. He went against the grain, man. He fought against the Pharisees and the Sadducees to not push rules and regulations upon people, but allow people to accept his grace and his mercy. So, man, a radical is just, somebody that go against the grain, and man, that just perfectly suits me and my music and what I got going on inside these communities.
I like the idea of going against the grain. That pretty well explains the Easter season that's upon us. Christ went against that grain. It cost him, and then it rewarded him and rewarded us as well. So, yeah, thanks for giving us that touch. Let's go back to those days when the struggle bus began for you early in life. What was it that turned you into the person that you became during your dealing days. Then we want to hear about those. But what was early life like for Bryant?
Um, I won't say that. Well, one a real big tragedy that I went through when I was younger. Getting transitioned to a new city. I was originally born in Lafayette, Louisiana, and my mama and my daddy, they had a divorce, and my mom, that I was when I moved to Memphis, Tennessee, my stepmom that raised me, she like became my mom, and like seriously, she is my mom. Good Lord rest her soul. She passed away in 2011. Um, man, I just went through a lot of different poverty. Sometime, man, when you get up seeing the same thing, a lot of our problems was money issues. Now, I will say that my mom and them, they did their best to make their way when it comes to having the lights on, keeping the roof over our head, keeping food in our bellies. But as a kid, you have other needs, especially when you go to public school. You go to public school, they're making fun of your shoes, they're making fun of your clothes, and all these different things at a young age, and it tends to do something to your heart. And man, when you start seeing a lot of your peers and peer pressure out there, they have the Jordans, they have the different things that you want or even look inside of. And it kind of take over you. Your desires, it takes over you. This before I even had no clue of what Christ or who Christ was. My desires, it took over me. And when my desires took over me, I just wanted the money. And that's what it was about. It was about getting paid.
So, how old were you when your folks split and you moved?
Um, At first, I stayed with my blood biological mama. God rest her soul as well. She just passed away in 2003 or two, I want to say. But anyways, when I was out there, I stayed with my mom for a minute because my daddy came to Memphis, Tennessee to work a job. And when he was working a job doing construction work, we was out there and I was kind of running the streets, man, running rapidly. Um,
How
and it
old
wasn't.
were you then?
Man, we talking about 6, 7 years old, man.
You're running
I'm
the
like,
streets at 7 years old.
yes, sir. I was seven
Okay.
years old. I was caught up at a racetrack betting on horses, and I left a letter on my mama door at 2 o'clock in the morning saying I'm gonna be back later on or whatnot. And they was looking for me. I ain't come back till like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm in school, everything at 7 years old, betting on horses to win money. And my daddy, he kind of got fed up. He was like, "Man, I'm coming get y'all." And it wasn't just me. I had a little brother, couple other brothers as well, but some of us was split because my daddy had 3 kids with my blood mama, and the other 3 kids was her kids. So we was all blood brothers and sisters, but that wasn't their biological dad. So my dad ended up taking all us to Memphis, and 3 of us ended up staying. And I've been in Memphis for the rest of my life. That's where I met
Do
my
you
wife.
want to remain there at this point? Is that going to be home the rest of your life, or do you have a dream of going elsewhere?
Well, like I said, me and my wife, we already do a lot of traveling already. So one of the biggest things is I won't say that Memphis will be our final destination. This is where I met my wife in college out here. So it's kind of like I started a life. I got 3 kids as well, and we just that's all we ever knew was Memphis. But I'm pretty sure the more blessings good Lord send towards our way, and when we actually get financially stable the way that we want to be and can move wherever we want to move, then we're going to look into that because that is the primary goal to move elsewhere one day.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So let's get into those. When did dealing begin for you? How old were you? How did you get started? And how did you get brought into it, accepted into it? You made it pretty clear the money was the thing. So, yeah, go ahead and start us off there, how you began.
Okay, so we used to start off, I say, where it truly started at. One time, my older brother, who stayed inside Louisiana at the time, which still does, we were staying in Memphis, and we used to go over there for the summertime or whatnot. And when me and my little brother we appeared, we didn't have the best looking shoes on, we didn't have the best looking clothes on, and my brother was like, like, man, what's going on? Y'all got a lot of needs, man. Why you ain't got no money? And at the time, we looking at my brother, and keep in mind, he's just trying to survive. I won't say he's a bad guy, man. He got a great heart, a great head on his shoulders, just a guy that's trying to survive. But long story short, my brother, um, it was a thing called a 8 ball back in the day. You get off a full cookie. He gave me a 8 ball, gave my other brother a 8 ball, and for free, and allowed us to make our money off of that, and then we just re up off of him. And man, that's how it originally started, and that was only for maybe a few weeks on that tip, and it kind of took over my mindset. So when I went back home to my city, Memphis, I ended up linking up with one of my good friends, and when I linked up with one of my good friends, his uncle was a big time guy out here already doing it, and he kind of taught me the game more. He taught me, with this. My brother already showed me different prices and stuff, but I got to learn how to cook it. I got to learn how to do different things with it, and where to station up, or what this mean or that mean. And man, the money. Once we start getting that fast money, man, it automatically just takes over your mindset. Especially when you ain't got a heart for God, you wouldn't know how it's harming people.
That's where your addiction came in once the money started rolling in. Yes?
Yes, that's absolutely right. That's exactly what it was. That scripture is true. When good Lord say, he didn't say money was the root of all evil. He said the love for money was the root of all evil. And that's exactly what was going on with me. I had a love for it. I had a passion for the money. It
You,
was my master.
you could start to acquire those things you never had before. You could get those better clothes, those better shoes. You could be
Attention.
recognized with attention
There we
instead
go.
of looked down upon. Yes?
Yes,
Yep.
sir. That's exactly what it was. You get that attention, you get that fame, you get people. It's like that's what everybody truly looking for. We may look for it in the wrong places, but I was looking for love. I was looking for love and gratitude from people, applauses.
So, how long would you say you were in the dealing business from start to finish?
Um, Let me see. So like I said, it started around maybe 12, 13 years old, all the way up to like when I met my wife. That's when I really started jumping away from it. And I was like 20 years old then, or 21 years old, like that. And that's when I really started trying to stop and not resort back to that. So that would give it about, let me see, a good 10, 12, 13 years.
Yeah, yeah. So, what kind of money did you make then? Uh,
Oh man, don't get me started with the money, man. I remember a lot of times you got up and downs that go with it. I remember a lot of times having mishaps, losing this, man, going through this with that. One of the biggest things, let me see, man, like sometimes you accumulate thousands, man, and you'll run through those thousands so fast because you're trying to please people. And what I mean by pleasing people, man, I could probably walk into what they'll call a trap house, and man, buy 25 pieces. You know what I mean? And buy pizza and supply all the weed for the guys, the liquor they want to drink or whatever it is, at the time. And man, that right there, like, and then clothes and shoes, man, I'd spend thousands of dollars just on clothes and shoes, you know what I mean? And like I said, we all looking for attention. So our mindsets ain't set on go buy a house and have something to have, later on in the future, this and that. We living in the moment, and man, you just lose it so fast. So man, I ran through thousands and thousands of dollars, man.
did you see people for who they were or just as dollar signs to move you along and progress your dreams, wants, and desires?
Man, at one point in time, man, I had no care about, what a person was going through. Only thing I knew that this person come back 3 times a day. This person come back 4 times a day. You know, this person I front so they could come back. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. That's the only thing that was on my mind. We didn't care about, what it was doing to the people, even though we saw that people faces was sinking in, they was losing their ability to talk and they teeth, and so many different health issues was going on. It's like, man, our hearts, it had no sympathy because we didn't know what sympathy was. I had no clue of who Christ was.
So, is that what kept you from getting into drugs personally? Personal addiction to the drugs? What you were seeing? You didn't want any part of that?
Absolutely, you hit it right on the nail. I came up in 1988, so we was the '80s babies when the drug crack first hit the scene. It was in the '80s. So, my daddy, he went through addiction with crack cocaine for a long time. Man, I had a lot of my uncles, a lot of different family members. My wife, she even saw it as well on her side. And man, like everybody in our communities, like all my friends, like a lot of they daddies and uncles and mamas was dealing with the very same addiction. So man, we automatically made a peace with ourselves that we'll never do that. So it was like when we came up as older, we knew exactly. We the one made the term "crack is whack." You know what I mean? So we were scared of the drug because we know exactly what it does to you. We saw it inside of our homes. We saw it, man. My dad is selling packs of meat, or the video game, or the lights not on, or this and that for his addiction at the time. So man, yeah, it made me automatically not to want to have nothing to do with it.
Understandable for certain. So, what were the risks you were taking? Obviously, the law, I get that.
Who?
But were you in situations where you either had to hold the gun or had the gun aimed at you? Uh,
Oh
yeah,
man,
tell us about some of the dangers and the fears that had to be
not
present at times.
not only Not only was I selling dope, I was part of a gang called Vice Lords. Um, and man, inside of this gang, man, we did a lot of different things. And like I said, I won't talk down on my brothers. The guys that I came up with from the mud or from their area. Man, it was just a lot of guys trying to survive. And man, at the point of time, man, we was just tuned into territorial and making a name for ourselves. So I ain't gonna lie, man. It been a lot of times that I was around violence, shootouts. Man, I remember graduating the 8th grade. A fight broke out, man. The next thing you know, we running down the street for our lives. People shooting, man. You hide behind houses and cars and stuff like that. Um, so man, yeah, it's been a lot of times that I had weapons. I have been inside altercation with guys where I pulled out a weapon. So it's a lot of different things on that end, man. We did get very, very down and gritty, man. There's a lot of things that I could say that I wasn't pleased of. A lot of fights. A lot of people got hurt inside of the process. Man, it was just, man, coming up.
So it sounds like to me it was going to be a matter of time that you were either going to get caught and pay the price, be that jail, prison, or get shot.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
you were going to pay it with your life, or you were going to have to turn it around at some point, even though you weren't looking at that yet, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
So,
I've been to jail 3 times.
okay,
I am a active felony.
how long total have you been incarcerated?
Okay, so the first bid, it was like close to 6, 7 months. The second bid that I was facing 6 years, but I ended up catching diverse, so I did 3 years off of the record. But man, when I tell you, sometimes man, being out of prison inside the actual world is harder than being inside of prison. Because when I tell you, man, it's like you have no man, like man, you have no rights to leave the state. Man, you got people checking down on you. You got drug tests always going down. Man, people could come inside your house and strip your whole house down and all these different things. And just my kids have to see. Well, my oldest daughter have to see certain things like that. Um, it was just hectic, man. So I dealt with that. So I say overall, all together, If you include all the stuff I had to do behind closed doors when it came not being in there, man, 4 or 5 years, man.
That's a chunk of your life.
Yeah, it's a very big chunk of your life.
Plus, I can't imagine being able to walk freely down the street without looking over your shoulder, either for law enforcement or someone else. What about, did you have an enforcer that was with you most of the time? Did you take care of most of your own dirty work? Did you have somebody else involved? Yeah,
Uh,
tell us.
we was a gang. Uh, we
That's
called ourselves organization. So I ain't gonna lie. A lot of times I was with probably someone. I remember one altercation I got into. The guy he found out where I stayed or whatnot, and I was laying inside the bed. Man, I just had my little daughter. She wasn't none but like man, maybe a couple days old, and my wife and me, we just got together and we had just got married, and we were staying inside a 2 bedroom apartment. Man, the guy took his car and ran it directly into my house. And he ran into the room that I was in and caved in the entire wall. And the car hit the bed. Now at the time I was asleep, I didn't know exactly what was going on, so I jumped up. And when I jumped up to go run to the front to see what was going on, my wife was looking out the window. She said the guy that just ran into the house, he have a gun. He trying to come in here and kill us. So at the time, man, I grabbed my pistol, I cocked it, and ran outside. They had a group of people outside, and man, apparently, I don't think he had a gun at the time. He was trying to run his car. Well, he did have a gun, but they had took it from him before I got outside, and I end up pulling the pistol to him. And man, right in front of my wife, right in front of everybody, broad daylight. And I was finna take his life. And they had a guy that ran up to me, and he was like, "Young blood, please think about it, brother." You know what I'm saying? He was saying that his brakes had locked up, and that was the reason he ran into the house. But I knew that wasn't the reason. It was a guy that I had an altercation with, and man, he was trying to get back at me because of what we did to him.
too much
I
of a
put his teeth out his
coincidence.
mouth.
Yeah, too many coincidences to be a coincidence.
Man,
Yeah,
I even had to lie to my wife about that when we was young. You know, she wasn't really, into none of that street life, man, and I just couldn't find the place to tell her that this guy was actually after me. And so I went along with the story as far as his brakes locked up or whatnot, but man, over a period of time I ended up telling her the truth or whatnot. But yes, sir, I was into a lot, man. I can't do nothing but thank God.
so, what was the moment that was the lights on for you, Bryant? The moment that said, "This has got to change. I've got to, yeah, I've got to better myself."
I know that's right. Well, first of all, God removed me from the environment I was in. And when he removed me from the environment I was in, they ended up getting me inside some college dorms and I was by myself. And man, that's how I ended up meeting my wife. And I never met a woman that actually cares about you getting in trouble or you doing something the right way. And she actually did. And she was in church and stuff at the time. I won't say that she was in the knowledge of Christ, but she was in church. And so she started introducing me towards that way. And I was already inside my mind said, like, man, I'm just tired of it, man. And like, it's just too much, chaos that goes on behind this, man. Just too much different things that's going on. So I was like, man, my little girl. I just had my baby girl, and after I had my baby girl, it made me think like, you know what, man, I just got to leave this alone. I got to try to see what a 9 to 5 is about. I got to try to see, how to do this and that. And so I say, about the time my daughter came along, and me and my wife first met each other.
Let's move forward from there. What was your first positive step forward toward getting out of the lifestyle that had meant so much to you and provided for you?
Man, staying in the house. The video game it helped a lot with that. Like I said, my girl, she helped a lot with that. Like I said, man, you actually gotta change the group of people that you around or change the element that you around. So Like I said, man, I know it's all God, but at the same time, at that period of time, man, God always been in the picture. Don't get me wrong, but at that period of time, I didn't have the faith in God that I have now. I didn't really know who He was, so I was like, I know He was helping me, but at the same time, like, man, He just put my mindset on playing the video games, staying in the house more. I started finding activities to do in the house and not being in the streets.
So let's talk about that faith journey. So you're going to church. Your wife's new in this as far as her involvement with the church,
Uh
not
huh.
into it at that depth of level of understanding. So obviously you aren't either. How did that grow? How did God start to expose himself in a way that made you
Wow.
want to follow him?
Man, now this is the great question right here. This is the great question. Okay, how it originally started, I gotta start from the beginning. How it originally started, I approached church. And when I approached church, I looked at the pastor wept. And instead of looking at what Christ has wept. And so what's going on is I see him. He got the nice car, got the nice house, and he got the nice everything. And the first thing that they was telling you, you don't do X, Y, Z, and B, then you going to hell. So I'm like, it put fear inside of me, not to accept Christ, but through love, but accept Christ through an obligation and accept him as a genie, so what I could get out of him. So man, that's exactly how I approached the Christ. I'm not finna do no lying to you. I approached him in just that manner, and when I approached him in that manner, it left me frustrated. It left me with man anxiety. It left me with depression. It left me and my wife arguing after church. All these different things going on because I wasn't tuned in into the love of Christ. I wasn't tuned in into seeing Christ as who he really for, the Messiah. So man, I would say that man, we didn't automatically have them, so it made me depressed. Me and my wife, one point of time, man, we threw away the Holy Bible. I don't want nothing to do with Jesus. This is fake. This don't. This is not real. This is man, woulda, woo, everything. Long story short, man, I went to God, man. And I was inside the tub, y'all. I got inside the tub and I cried my eyes out. And man, I remember my wife, she felt like I didn't want nothing to do with God. And she wanted something to do with God, but she was trying to find them. So, she looking through all different religions, Muslim, Buddhism, all these different religions that are going on, trying to find out who God is. And me, I'll never forget. I remember how it was making her feel, and I knew I loved her. And not only that, man, I knew I wanted a relationship with God as well. So I got inside the tub and I cried out. And I told God, I said, any pastor that have anything that they claim that they have, they got it directly from you. Man, Jesus, look, man, I surrender, man. Like, man, I'm like I surrender to his faith. I surrender to him believing that he was the Messiah. I surrender that, he was everything. And when I did that, that's when he snapped it into place, y'all. And I tell y'all like never before. The whole mindset of me, every different thing, my heart, that's what he started attacking first. He started showing me the monster that I was. He started showing me, man, my desires. He started showing me the person that I really was that I wouldn't see within the mirror. And man, I was like, man, that's when I truly met Christ, is when I surrendered and just believed that he was Messiah.
You went from fear to faith. You
Man.
were serving out of fear, and now you're
Hmm.
serving out of faith because you've met him. You've
Absolutely.
come one to one in your nakedness of your life and your experiences, and you recognize and realize that
Hmm.
he's not about condemnation. He's
And
not
guilt.
about
Wow.
destroying you for your past. He's not
Absolutely.
about holding it against you. He's about loving you and drawing you close.
Closer,
And,
man.
and so what became your next good thing in him? What was a change in you or a provision from him or a moment from on high?
Man, absolutely. When I finally, surrender to the faith and you know start seeing Christ for love. Just like you said, he took that condemnation, he took that guilt out of me, and when he did that, man, it just made me want to go forward and tell everybody the good news. It was like I'm inside of the roughest neighborhoods you could think of. I came up in Orange Mound, so I was like, man, all these rough neighborhoods, all these rough guys I'm around, I realized they never heard the story of Christ. Only thing they ever heard was if you don't do X, Y, Z, and B, you going to hell. So it scared them, and they ain't want nothing to do with Christ. But I was like, wow, once he showed me who he was, he got to revealing so many different things to me. Because like when I started reading his word, I wasn't falling asleep on the Bible no more. I was, man, actually up and in tune and like, wow, this Jesus guy was a gangster. He like, I ain't got no other way to put it. This Jesus guy, man,
Radical.
yeah, he was radical. That's exactly what he was. He was radical. This Jesus guy was radical, man. And his stories started becoming excitement. Man, the things that he stand for, the things that he did for us. And man, it just gave me that faith. It gave me that boldness. It gave me that fire to want to go out there into my communities and start telling people about God. And I so happened to have a talent in doing music, but I wasn't always doing music the right way. I was a cellular rapper at first. And man, I told God, man, if you get me out this situation while I was in jail, I was facing 6 years. And man, they was finna take me away from my wife. And at the time she just had my my first son. And I thought I was gonna be hid away for 6 years, and we was going through it, far as financially wise, far as keeping up with the rent and all these different things. And I thought to myself, if I'm going away for 6 years, man, how can I blame my wife if she found another sprout or any different thing, trying to survive. So I was like, God, if you could get me out this situation, man, I promise I ain't going back into these jail cells. If I ever have to go back, I'm gonna go back to tell the goodness of you. And man, so help me, Lord. That's what I do today, y'all. Man, I go into detention centers, I go into juvenile court and tell the kids the goodness of God. And I was like, man, when I made that agreement with them, that's exactly what I did. I started going into the roughest communities and started just telling, man, people through music, because that was my way of grabbing their attention. I grabbed their attention through the music, through the hip hop, and man, everything have a word, everything have a message. I won't make no raps unless they have a message of Christ.
So this rap, this hip hop, why is that your chosen genre? Why didn't you use some other style of music? Why is it so meaningful to you?
Well, first of all, I always grew up loving music. I will say that. Secondly, I know exactly what music could do to your heart and your mindset. Because at one
Yeah.
period of time when I was young, man, I could listen to certain things and it'll make you want to go AWOL, man. Make you want to go to war, make you want to fight, make you want to hurt people inside so many different ways. Or like when I listened to the music about selling drugs, it made you want to go out there and be even a bigger drug dealer. So I was like, I knew exactly the power that it had over people already. So I was like, another thing is inside our communities, a lot of the people, we struggle with finding different genres of work. If you get where I'm coming from, the only way we could see to make a good wealth for yourself is being an entertainer. So they'll probably want to be a basketball player or a football player or a rapper. That's what everybody in my community wants to be because they feel like that's the only way they'll be able to accumulate the money that they truly want. They don't know about going to school, becoming this big businessman or this and that. And so what goes on is they come out and they put this, man, everybody around you rapping. I mean the whole community, man. So you seeing it everywhere that you go. So I was like, man, that's something that took over me as a kid. So I was like, that's what I feel like I do best is rap. So I was like, God, what if I could put a message of rap inside, for you and go out there with it? And of course, you'll think it's foolish at first because everybody, oh, that's not a God, that's not this, that's not that, and this and that. And I thought about it one time. God showed me that the music went from hymns, and then it went from hymns to R&B, and now it's going from R&B to hip hop a little bit when it comes to the gospel. Because I remember at one point in time the church would not accept R&B. They thought it wasn't of God. They thought it was the devil. And now you listen to it now, R&B and rock and roll all inside of the church now.
You know what? I love to hear you say that. And I've mentioned this more than once when I've dealt with you individuals who are into this Christian hip hop and everything. I remember when Elvis Presley first stepped foot on the stage. I remember the first time he was on TV. I remember the camera would not go below his waist because of his gyrations.
Uh-huh.
Check that out on Ed Sullivan or anything else of the day. But it changed the world.
It did.
His music, the music of those days, changed the world.
It
It
did.
opened doors for music like yours, and it's something I had almost zero familiarity with my background and experiences. But over the past year, I've come to love the message, to love the work, to love you guys and gals behind it. And that's what excited me about getting to speak with you today and to run into one more who's into that genre. Uh, Be radical. Our title is Faith in Your Recovery. What does that mean to you? Those words, faith in your recovery.
Man, that's the best thing that you could say it. The word right underneath love, because I know love is the greatest of them all, was faith. And I read the book of John, Papa G, and man, when I read the book of John, it said 85 times to believe. And then, Christ, he goes on and he tells us that faith is the only thing that pleases him. He goes on and he tells us about Abraham's faith, or all these different guys that did amazing things for him, like Noah or Moses. I realized it was all those guys' faith that brought them through these things, like Noah. Never seen a drop of rain, and you telling me to build a boat. You know what I mean?
And
Like,
that's
man,
radical. Uh,
that's radical. You telling me to build a boat, and I never seen a drop of water come out the sky, man. So I'm like, or Abraham, man, I'm gonna run a whole nation, or Moses that never had a good speech pattern, could go out and man get a whole tribe of people to cross the Red Sea. It's like all these different things. That's what Christ showed me. That's the thing that's going to please Him. So it was like He went for showing me you focusing on sin too much rather than focusing on faith, rather than
Amen to that.
rather than focus on that grace and that mercy. And I was like, man, faith is the thing that's gonna restore everything, man. Like faith was the thing that brought me to the heart that I have now for Christ. You know what I mean? It was like, man, me just believing that He's the Messiah and He gets inside of you and do so many great things, y'all.
Amen.
It's like, but it all comes through faith. So that word faith is an understatement when people talk about it, because it's so big, brother. It's so big.
You got it. You got it. All right. Want to wrap it up with this question.
Okay.
We ask you, and you sent us a song we want to use as our closing. What's the song you sent us, and why why did you choose that one? What's meaningful about it? Tell us, please.
Oh wow. Well, it's called freedom. I feel like a
Freedom.
lot of people, yes, it's called freedom. And just like we was talking about with faith, I feel like a lot of people is taking their faith out of God, and we going through our good deeds to be acceptable through God, and not knowing that Christ is the one that's truly setting us free. So man, I just want people to experience the freedom and what Christ mean by us experience this the freedom. He want our hearts to love. He want our hearts to, man, be service for the people and these different things. So this right here is just a song that reflect on the things that's going on in the world of poverty, and man, private things you may be going on through with the government, or all these different things. But at the same time, Christ is still our refuge camp. He still got everything a plan for you. He got freedom for you. You just gotta get inside of him and let go all this stress, let go all this worrying that we carrying, these burdens, and let Christ be the freedom. That's what it's
That
about.
freedom comes through the faith. We've gone full circle here over the last few minutes.
Hey,
Listen, thank you tremendously for this time. We look forward to hearing this song. And the only advice I'll give you from Papa G is to make sure you stay radical as
yes,
well as
sir.
be radical.
Yes,
Amen. God bless. Stay in the
man. God
battle.
bless you.
Here we
Love you,
go.
Papa G. Okay.
Love you.
All righty.
I wanna run away, yeah. Wish I could release all the pain that's following me. Turn around and never come back. If I could escape, far away, yeah. Go away somewhere, nothing holding me back. If I could run away, I'm telling you, we got you. I'm saying he gon' hold you down. Ain't no doubt about it, he gon' always be around. He promised, I know I can, yeah, I can make it, I can make it. He promised to never leave me, now forsake me. He won't forsake me. Freedom, yeah, you know it's freedom time. Freedom, yeah, you know it's freedom time. I'm telling you, we got you. I'm saying he gon' hold you down. Freedom, yeah, you know it's freedom time.
Juneteenth, it symbolized the month they made us free. Ha ha, somebody tell us it's we really free. Our self-deceived, since we was conceived, they made us machines. Birth certificate, a check, now we walking receipts. A bunch of letters in the computer, and they push and delete. We protest and take it to their screen, but fall back into the same routine. Trying to proceed, but our brothers don't make it past 18. Crazy it seems, Jesus wanna release, but nobody believes because I mouthpiece, and it's hard to agree. So he let us repeat and watch us mislead. Jesus achieved, yeah, and mourn for the day we retrieve. I guess I let him pull up my sleeve, cause I'm tired of defeat. Don't wanna compete, cause all they do, man, is leave us deceased. Can't stand at my feet, cause these police out here taking the knee. Can't stand these streets, cause your life they out here taking it, G. Hey, this is spiritual, not physical. Now I'm feeling this peace. Hey, how we working at McDonald's, but got a degree. Man, they tell us that there's freedom. Hey, Christ disagree. I know we tired of the rejection, but he said they accept us. I guess we never got the message, like them slaves in Texas. Let us pray, Lord, we ask that you give us direction. Got our paths in our minds, cause we love to move reckless. Help us see our hearts, the people jealous, that's deadly. Let us copy your methods. Can't see ourselves, but we need the inspections. COVID-19 got this world hectic. Lord, we need your protection. Get us around the farthest neck so we can hang like a necklace. Lord, forgive us if we senseless, for feeling out senseless. Don't know if they trying to figure us out, trying to keep count. Cause Corona out here wiping us out. Hey Lord, get us back together like we at the cookout. And help me never to doubt. Remember your son, the only way out. Used to hang out, me and the homies love to act out. And when I was in the field, you kept watch like a scout. And when it was a drought, I never went without. That's why I keep my head to the south, cause I'm a worthy to be on this couch. Can't go the devil's route, cause I refuse to burn like a trout. Lord, I ask again, help me never to doubt. And remember that your son, the only way out.
He promised, I know I can, yeah, I can make it, I can make it. He promised to never leave me, now forsake me. He won't forsake me. Freedom, yeah, you know it's freedom time. nothing holding me back. If I could run away, he got you, hold you down. He gon' always be around, yeah.